For the start of voluntary workout programs. New head coach Pat Shurmur on a conference call today on his thoughts about having one of the best wide receivers in the building.
I'm not worried about it. I really believe that Odell's a professional. He wants to be great, and he understands the importance of the off season, and he's a competitive guy. And again, we had already started communicating before all that information kind of got out there and was talked about to a great deal. So he's a professional, and I'm glad he's here today.
For more on Odell, here's First Take.
It's fired up. He's back, folks. Odell in the building.
Talk.
Yeah. I want to point out, Teddy
Go ahead, Molly.
Last year, he opted to stay in L.A. to work out independently. Now he's here with the team. Professional, classy move. I'm happy about it. Stephen A. Smith, though, I'm starting with you. Was this whole OBJ situation overblown? The video, him getting traded, going to the Rams.
I think it was. We had to discuss it. It was news. Anytime you see a woman in a video with white powdered substance in front of her that's believed to be cocaine and you in the same spot.
I thought they were getting ready to bake a cake or something.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever. Yeah, this is different.
Yeah, bake a cake.
Yellow cake.
It didn't look like that much.
Yellow cake.
It didn't look like that much, Molly.
Whatever, you guys.
Okay, my point is that kind of stuff happens. But at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. When we consider that Johnny Manziel has been in the news trying to return to the NFL, along with a bevy of other stories, the Alden Smith arrest and other things. These are incredibly serious issues that these people have been associated with. So when you see stuff like that creep up, it ultimately gives you cause to pause when it comes to Odell Beckham Jr. and to say, hold it, wait a minute. What kind of trouble has he ever really gotten into? Oh, you shouldn't have been partying in Miami the week of the game. You know what? Don't sit up there and get into an issue with Josh Norman on the field or somebody else. Oh, you know what? Don't kick the field goal net on the sideline, and all of this other. Let it smack you right back upside your head. Don't do something like that. Okay, fine. All right? Don't sit up there and talk about how you're supposed to be the highest paid player in the entire NFL. We bring up all of these issues, and when it happened, you're saying, wait a minute, you're trying to get your money, you're getting in the way of your own money. The medical director for the NFL can decide indiscriminately, you know what, I want to put you in the NFL drug program. So, of course, these are issues that we had to discuss, and it appeared, significant at that moment. But then over the last few days, when you saw these other stories come into light about particular players, you're saying, wait a minute, that ain't never been Odell. We've never seen no perp walk for him. We've never seen him with mug shots. We've never seen him in the police blotters. What we're lamenting is, all right, man, could you show an elevated level of maturity? And we're saying this about one of the greatest players and clearly one of the biggest box office attractions in the entire NFL. In the grand scheme of things, we might be late to the party. It may have been helped by Johnny Manziel, Alden Smith, and others. But in the end, what it comes down to is that this was much ado about nothing because Odell Beckham Jr. essentially needs to grow up a little bit.
Look,
that's all there is.
It's not much ado about nothing because Odell Beckham Jr., and I've been trying to tell people this for several years now, and I can't call him the best receiver in the game because he didn't catch passes in the playoffs, period. Like the whole Miami thing I didn't care about. You got to catch passes in the playoffs. You don't. I can't put you ahead of Julio Jones and Antonio Brown. However, he's better than those guys at all other times. He is a transcendent talent. There have only been 2 or 3 guys in the history of football at the position I think of on that level with, obviously Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, and now you're talking about Odell Beckham. He's qualitatively different than everyone. That's why he's a big deal, not just because he dyes his hair in the antics. People see when they look at him, this guy is different. So it's not overblown in that sense when there's news about him, particularly with white powder or losing his cool on the field. Now, there are 3 reasons, though, it blew up. The story blew up. Because the threat that the Giants could actually trade him. That was what really had us talking about it more than anything. Could he be traded? Is it credible? 3 reasons why it was credible. 1, Odell is 25 years old. This is not an older guy, whatever. He could take a season off, become a free agent just by sitting out the year, and still only be 26 when he gets back. 2, coming off a catastrophic injury. So actually taking that year off may not be the worst thing for him. Avoid re-injuring himself. He can be completely ready to go. But not only that, you avoid the risk. And 3, he has real millions in endorsement money. So he's making $8 million on the field. He'd lose that money.
How do you know that's not contingent on him playing?
By the way, some of it may be, but the point is he's made a lot of money already in endorsements, and ostensibly he has more coming in, even if that's somewhat reduced, in order to get his free agency where he's not risking any of that and then getting tens and tens of millions of dollars in guaranteed money. So it was a credible threat that he would actually sit out, more than it normally is, more than when a running back makes that claim or an older player makes that claim. And given his talent and the credibility of the threat of sitting out, it was a big deal.
Odell Beckham Jr. is important. He's important to the National Football League, in my opinion. He's one of, I agree with you when you say that he's one of the marquee players in the entire NFL, and he plays for the New York Football Giants. If you're the best player on the New York Giants, you're important. I don't care if you're a quarterback, a linebacker, a defensive, a pass rusher, you're important. People pay attention to what you do and who you are. It's important that he plays, not only I think that he plays in New York, it's important that he's there right now, because I think right now I want to say this was a great, I want to say maybe a great job by Gettleman and the upper management of the New York Football Giants to get him there, because I think there's a conversation that happened. A conversation that happened that said, listen, we want to make you the highest paid wide receiver. Let's start talking about that. But we can't start talking about that if you insist on not putting a foot on that football field until you get your contract. That's not how things work. New head coach, new general manager, new relationship, fresh start. Odell's talking about being excited about being utilized properly. I thought he was utilized pretty well. I mean, the number of targets he got.
Yeah, it's nonsense to say that he wasn't utilized.
Right, before, but to get him in the building is huge. It's a morale boost to the team. But
Teddy, how much of that it could be? Sorry for interrupting, but how much of that could be them going to Odell and saying something to the effect of, look, new coaching staff, new everybody, right? You want a clean slate with them, right? They don't want to come in reading stuff about Odell and don't they deserve a clean slate from you,
and
right?
You come in and do that, and we'll start talking. And then we'll start considering it. I think that it has to be a little bit of a tit for tat for him, because I think he feels strongly. I think he knows about his vulnerability in terms of he isn't a quarterback. He can't play the Kirk Cousins role in terms of franchise. I know the chances of me getting hurt, they're there, but they're slim. He plays wide receiver. He already knows he's been hurt, so it's like, I need to do what I can. Sometimes you got to play the game to get paid.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things to point out. Number one, very, very dapper suit with the tie on. Max, take notes. You should try that sometime. Number two, okay? Number two, Matrix, same look all the time. Don't get me started with you. Same number two. Number two, and more importantly, all right?
Both look great.
I got to look at Gettleman. And I actually have to give him a little props here in this regard. His reputation precedes him. He doesn't play. He will get rid of somebody quick. Josh Norman would happen to know this. He's a premier corner in the game. And you just let this guy walk away and end up going to Washington after initially making an offer and then reneging on it. So when you look at it from that perspective, if you are Odell Beckham Jr., then we also have to give credit to Antonio Brown. Because Antonio Brown was barking for a couple of years how he deserved his money from Pittsburgh. But he played. And he showed up. He didn't hold out. And what happens? He ultimately ends up getting paid by the way he produces in the postseason. So you have shining examples on that level to say to Odell Beckham Jr., really? Do you really want to do this? Do you really think this is going to work to you, man?
Let's not forget how Eli Manning was treated last year. The fans remember I mean, I know the regime that was there, the general manager and the head coach is gone, but the fans remember how Eli Manning was treated. His streak stopped. He was taken from the starting lineup onto the bench. A lot of people didn't agree with that in New York. They did not like that. So to see this player also be shipped out or not happy or have a drama going on into training camp is something not only, like I said, the boost for the morale of the locker room, but also the fans. Yes, he's there. Yes, we can assume that possibly talks have begun, because I like to think, even myself, Odell's not stepping foot in there unless he was given some type of promise that we will start talking if you give us this little olive branch. So get in here.
Yeah, you're not. It's not contact yet.
I have one question.
You're not getting hit yet, but that's the problem, because if you have
right now.
If you think you have, I don't know how many tens of millions guaranteed coming your way, and you haven't had that money yet, and you're coming off a big injury, and you play a position where that could happen again at any moment, then you're like, before anyone else tackles me, I want to have some guarantee. Doesn't involve tackling what he's about to do.
Teddy, I have a question for you. Do you look at him as an injury-plagued player?
No, I don't look at him as an injury-plagued player. He plays a position, and you got to understand receivers. When you get a specialized athlete like this, I've called Odell Beckham Jr. one of the most explosive humans on the planet, all right? You get a little twinge here, you get a little twinge there, it affects everything else. But I do not think he's an injury-plagued player. I actually think he's tough. He plays hard out there. His game I respect, so that is something I do not think.
He runs routes, doesn't cheat. Yes. By the way, I was only playing. You look dapper.
Oh, well, thank you.
You look dapper. I understand that a significant other helps you.
That's not going to stop.
Late-night boat trips before you go to Lambeau? Come on, Teddy.
Not the exact same thing as that. I think there's always going to be something like this. Like when Gronkowski got to New England, you saw him partying off the field all the time, but he kept balling. And this was, I mean, you could almost call it harmless. Yes, harmless, like he's going out there and have a good time. You'll see him over and over again doing these things, but that's who he is. As long as he stays healthy and gets that done on the field, you'll end up seeing it as, yep, that's OBJ.
I guess I got to let it go then. Teddy, appreciate you. Good insight, as always. When we come back, the association guys, LeBron and the Beard, two of the top candidates for MVP, but find out which NBA superstar says he isn't convinced either deserves the award. And Steve Kerr wishes his Warriors would do something a lot better as they enter the postseason. Find out what that is and if these guys agree. Coming up next.